You're listening to Supervision with a Vision, where we discuss all things supervision. I'm your host, Sarah, professional counselor, marriage and family therapist, play therapist, eating disorder specialist, and cookie lover, with my co-host, Heather, marriage and family therapist, certified Together in Texas counselor, a Texas transplant from California, and outdoor adventurer. Hi, welcome to Supervision with a Vision. Today, Heather and I are talking about how we handle anger in supervision. Heather, this week we read Disarming Anger, published in Counseling Today 2022. Mm-hmm. And the first point the article makes, or one of the first points, is explore the origins of this anger.
Right. I think often when we have like an angry response to something, it can come from lots of different emotions. It could come from fear. Mm-hmm. It could come from anxiety. It could come from sadness. Mm-hmm. So when our supervisees or us as supervisors are experiencing anger, it's important to know, like, well, is it just anger? Why? Why are you angry?
Mm-hmm. I can definitely think of some times where a supervisee showed some anger in supervision or about counseling or in a session, maybe in a session. But do you think that you can think of a time where you felt anger in supervision or related to supervision?
I don't know that anger is a stronger word. I definitely have been annoyed and thought, oh my goodness, this person doesn't even know what they need. Felt like frustrated, like they didn't know.
Do you think like maybe we could call that baby anger?
Yes,
like
baby
small
anger.
Amounts of anger, but you're saying you pretty quickly could identify, maybe not in the moment, but quickly you could identify that feeling, the underlying feeling was a concern.
Right. It was definitely enough of a concern for me to go, whoa. What? Yeah.
And what was the concern?
In this case, the supervisee was so like, my best word would be disconnected, that they truly didn't even, like there was they didn't know, like a complete ambivalence to what they needed to know for the situation.
So then your frustration or tiny anger was about that this person was providing counseling and
didn't have the skills. Right.
Not providing effective or appropriate counseling, and then being worried about that.
Well, I'm being worried that the school, it was really my direct anger wasn't necessarily with the supervisee. It was more with the education. The lack of education.
Like you thought, oh my goodness, how did this person finish an entire degree successfully?
Right. Like what happened
and not
here?
Know this?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, again, maybe maybe we're not totally in tune and we're not recognizing that it's anger, but this also felt like a time where it was small anger, not big anger, but I was working for an organization with an eating disorder organization that needed to assess level of care.
Oh.
And I thought that they were not doing it appropriately, which caused people to be in risky health situations.
Right.
And I was pretty upset about that.
Yeah.
And I, like you, I was also worried for people's welfare.
Right. I had a situation, actually, as you were talking, I remembered a situation when I worked kind of in a clinic setting, and my manager and I did not agree on the next level of care for this client. And I didn't have authority to recommend or say.
That's so frustrating.
Yeah. So I can see those kind of things getting in our way.
I think that, I mean, not only, I was going to say that I think a lot of supervisees can appreciate that feeling that they are not in a position to get to make all of those decisions. But realistically, if you're working for an organization, it doesn't matter what level you're at. You don't get to make all the decisions.
Right. Period. That's what it is.
So, I mean, even if you're the director of the agency clinic, there are still some decisions that you don't get to make, which can be frustrating.
Right.
What about one of the ways that this article actually starts out describing anger is that it used a cartoon character as an example. So maybe we could do that. If in this situation where you were concerned that this supervisee somehow managed to get out of school and did not know
have this information, right?
What cartoon character would have been reflective of the tiny amount of anger or small anger that you had?
Oh, that's a good one. Maybe a little like I'm trying to think of like a, definitely was not a huge angry response, but
Hmm.
more of like a,
So not in and out
nope,
anger
not
guy
in
with
and out anger
flames in his
guy.
hair. Yeah,
No,
no, not the
more
guy.
like a Daffy Duck or like a,
That's what I was gonna say.
yeah.
Wow, we're on the same wavelength. You're like, and we're talking Daffy Duck when he's mad,
Right,
right?
right.
So he stomps around,
And
and
he's,
I think his
yeah,
hands are in fists,
right,
and he talks so fast that
right.
he's like, is it mumbling or
Yeah, you don't really
stuttering?
know what he's
And
saying.
he's like
Right.
spitting because
Mm-hmm.
he's, yes, that's what I was like.
Yep.
So kind of stomping around, upset. Okay, now I have to pick a different one. Um, Me working at that agency where I felt like they did not have good medical oversight for their admissions was, see, not, I mean, I think Tasmanian Devil, when he's like in a
Oh
little
yeah.
tornado, could be a good example, but I feel like that kind of anger is destructive.
Right. So not
I didn't
destructive,
feel
but
destructive. I
right.
didn't want to tear things up or mess things
Mm-hmm.
up. Um, what about maybe kind of, I'm still maybe stuck on Daffy Duck because now I'm thinking Scrooge McDuck
Oh yeah. Yeah.
when he gets mad at the
Mm-hmm.
kids because the kids like, weren't they always messing things
They
up?
mess things up. Yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe similar, almost the same character, the dad on Alvin and the
Oh
Chipmunks,
yeah.
and he
Perfect.
would say Alvin.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
perfect. I
yeah.
like that one.
Okay. So, figuring out the first step is explore the origins of this anger. So that
Right.
means we're thinking it means look at underlying meaning or what's happening that
Right.
you're having this reaction. Do you think that part of supervision is not only doing that for ourselves, but guiding our supervisees through that?
Absolutely. I've worked with supervisees a lot on, they're often in clinic settings and they don't
Mm-hmm.
agree with what the higher ups want them
Mm-hmm.
to do or how it needs to be done. Some of it's about just not getting your way, but the other part of it is if you truly believe a client isn't getting good care, that can be a really
Mm-hmm.
big topic of supervision.
Yeah. Maybe when you were saying that, I was thinking, who else is sometimes in charge when you don't get to be in charge all the
Hmm.
time? Parents.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So a supervisee that's working with kids and they're realizing there's a parent who is not aligned with them
Correct.
and then making I don't know their recommendations difficult to follow through.
Hmm. Hmm. Absolutely.
Mhm. Okay, so the next point we're going to talk about is diffusing the anger.
Right. Now that you're angry, what are we going to do with
Yeah,
it?
right. What do you think you do? Have you ever had a supervisee come to supervision angry?
Maybe not necessarily towards me, but yes, they've come to
Mm-hmm.
supervision frustrated, upset with their situation.
Mm-hmm.
But I think part of that is diffusing the anger of once you kind of know why they're angry, which is
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
back to exploring it, it does help diffuse it. But then what do you
Mm-hmm.
do with that? Like, what do
Okay.
you've now said, okay, yeah, they're upset. They don't agree with their supervisor, their
Uh-huh.
manager with something, but now what?
Well, so maybe you're saying like helping them to know the origins is flows into diffusing it
Right.
because the supervisor can relate to the supervisee
Right. Right.
that whatever they're upset about, we might go, well, I can relate to that, or
Hmm.
that's understandable.
Right.
So that might
Right.
even be a beginning part of helping to diffuse some of that.
Hmm.
Um, and then you said, uh, so then how do we help with that, or what do we
Right.
do with that? You also said you've never had anyone come to supervision upset with you. I don't think I've had anyone actually come to supervision
Right.
upset with me, but there might have been uh, things that they were upset up with that they were going to allow to go unspoken.
Oh, like ignoring it. Just like,
Hmm.
oh, not going to talk about that one
Um,
topic because I'll just get mad.
maybe, let me think what would be a good example. Times a supervisee is small angry or
Hmm.
frustrated or upset would be we had a discussion about what hours counted as
Oh, yes.
direct or indirect,
Yes.
and
Hmm.
they're
They don't like
not
the
very
answer.
happy with that. That could be
Right.
not big angry,
Yeah.
but
Right. It's definitely frustration.
frustrated feelings.
Yep.
Or a time where I might have told a supervisee that I expected them to make an abuse report
I've had that
and they
problem.
have a difference of
Right.
opinion.
Right.
Or can you think of any others where not big angry and maybe they choose not to bring it up in
Right.
supervision?
I can think of a situation where I've had a supervisee that had a very difficult parent that they were working with, and we had talked through in a previous session about what the appropriate steps would be, and the next session went by, and there was actually something else that had happened that kind of took precedence over it. And then the following week, so now it's been 2 weeks since the discussion has happened, and they still hadn't talked to this one parent and had the conversation. And I could tell there was a lot of avoidance to that, but then also just talking about, okay, but what's the why? Because if you're avoiding it, then it's big enough, it's causing you a lot of frustration.
Yeah.
So,
another time, and now that I think about it, I think I've had a handful of supervisees that had some strong feelings about this. Where we live, and our state requirements have changed the language. I don't know,
a lot of times.
A lot, right? And one of those language tweaks has been the expectation or the description of how often you should meet for supervision.
Oh, yes. Yes.
How many times I remember that it used to say 4 hours per month.
Correct.
I remember that it used to say weekly.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there was another change, but currently it says for 1 hour it says 4 hours per week. I think that's what it says. No, wait, it says 1 hour per week.
1 hour per week.
I think it says 1 hour per week, comma, for a total of 4 hours per month.
Yes. And
something
then
like that.
I think there's also another phrasing that at one point in time, I think they've since gotten rid of it, for a maximum of.
Really?
Yes.
Huh. That might, maybe that predates me a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the way that I look at that is that over time, we're always basically shooting for the same expectation,
right?
But we keep our governing body keeps changing the language to better clarify. The meaning is basically they expect that supervisors meet with supervisees for a 1 hour appointment, 1 hour each week.
Right.
And we've gone 1,000 different ways to try and explain that precisely. I've had supervisees that don't accomplish that goal.
Right.
They're sick. Their kid is sick. They went on vacation. It was a holiday. I don't know. Lots of different reasons.
All life.
Right. And when they become frustrated is when I say, this has become a pattern and we need to do something to address it.
Right.
Either we need to change our day and time so that this is an easier appointment for you to make.
Absolutely.
Or you've missed enough of these that we really need to do some makeup.
Right. We got to add some time in here to make it.
Right. And the most pushback I get is doing makeup time.
Oh, yeah.
They don't want to do that. And I have had people that were frustrated with that. And also continued to maybe not address it by not changing
just
their behavior.
Nope, just going to do the same thing.
Right.
Repeat
so
behavior.
So still missing hours and not making any up. So we just keep getting farther and farther behind.
Correct.
So when something like that happens, a supervisee is frustrated, but they're not addressing it. Do you address it?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey, quick question for you. Are you someone who wants to be fit, healthy, and happy? And what if I told you could get your dream body by simply just listening to a podcast? I'm Josh.
And I'm KG, and we're the hosts of the Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast.
Listen, we get it. Fitness isn't easy. Carbs, no carbs.
Just stop, okay? It doesn't have to be that complicated. And that's why we made this podcast. We get straight to the facts so you can become your best you.
So the way to check us out is click the link in the show notes or search Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast on any of the major podcast platforms. We'll see you soon.
I think eventually I give them a little time to figure out if they're going to bring it up again. But I usually give a 2-week grace period. And by that next time, if you haven't brought it up again, I might not even have a long conversation about it. It might just be, hey, we need to get back on target. So next week, are you available for an hour and a half? Are you available for 2 hours? You know,
or, I mean, that situation, making up hours, but an abuse report, or you need to have that conversation, or does that change the amount of time you give them to handle it?
Generally speaking, yeah, I might be a little quicker about it.
So a parent discussion,
right?
If you will let 2 weeks go by, that for some situations could feel like a long time,
right?
But maybe 2 weeks for making up supervision hours.
Well, and if
maybe
you can,
not.
and if you can help them through like why are they avoiding it
Yes.
and why they're doing it, then you're diffusing their frustration each time, right?
Uh-huh.
Sometimes they need space from it. Like they know they have to make that abuse report. They just need a moment to breathe
Mhm.
and swallow and okay, fine, I'll do it,
Mhm. So one way that you would diffuse anger is give them space, and you're saying time
hmm
as a form of space, physical space too. Like, would you?
Yeah, maybe physical space. I can see that happening.
I think to me that would mean maybe not always addressing it in person, face to
Right,
face.
just maybe an email
An
midweek.
email,
Yeah.
an email reminder, even. Hey,
hmm
we talked about this week in supervision. Let me know some times where you think we could make up some
Right.
hours. So then it like
Right.
some distance. Um, what about? I mean, I think we're both talking about inviting the conversation.
Yes. Inviting the conversation is a good way. And then also, I think another kind of key important part is ultimately we are helping them learn how to navigate these situations. This might be the first time they've ever
Mm,
had to make an abuse report, or that might be the first time they've ever had a difficult client.
yeah,
But to be able to navigate, like, once you do this, it's not so either overwhelming or frustrating, or like
yeah,
it's not going to be the same every time.
right. Well, and I think inviting the conversation means that you have more opportunity to do that.
Right.
Like with these discussions about we need to make up some hours, the first person I said that to was pretty angry. And I would say
Yeah.
angry, not tiny
hmm
angry. Um, and it took time and it took a discussion and it's more time
Right.
before that person could come around and go, oh, okay, I see what you're saying. And it was some about not understanding the expectation,
hmm
not understanding completely what I was asking for.
Right.
So if that's the case in an abuse report,
Right.
that maybe they think they did what
What
whatever
they're supposed to do.
you
Yeah.
asked them to do. And but you keep asking me about that. I did it already.
Right.
So maybe there's some misunderstanding over what the expectation is. Maybe they feel like there's a misunderstanding in the way that they communicated the situation.
Correct.
I've
That
had
could
that
happen. Yeah.
where they think I didn't explain it well. I don't need to make an abuse report. But I think it's also fair that we as the supervisor could be thinking, no, I feel like you explained it well.
Right.
And yes, there's an abuse report here. We
Right.
still need to make that abuse report. So
Right.
maybe the discussion allows for that to
Mhm.
happen, to better understanding,
Yeah.
to clarify the situation. The last point in our article that we read is the value of anger's aftermath.
Right. So I think once you've been frustrated, upset, angry at something, there after things have cooled down, after we're done, I think that you can step back and maybe appreciate, okay, that's how I got here and what will it be like. But I think also sometimes anger is a great motivator.
Mm,
Like
okay. Like what?
for
What
okay, for
supervisions?
instance, supervision for me as a supervisor, when I was very frustrated with a situation with how did my supervisee make it out of school with this situation going on. I mean, honestly, like I had never given thought before to even really worry about what school someone came from.
Mm-hmm.
But it did help me as a supervisor go, oh, I'll be looking at that now. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'll be looking at what program you came from and maybe being a little more critical, like about not that I won't take a person from that school again, because obviously that could be situational, but to be able to be like, did you take a class?
Oh,
Like,
that's a good point.
just bringing it up very
Sure.
directive.
Like, if either one of us were working with a supervisee that wanted to see kids,
Right.
we might assume that they took classes.
Did you take a child development class?
Right. Well, that one's required now. Did you know that?
I knew that now. Yeah.
But so human development is a part of a requirement in counseling in the United States, but a class specifically on theories of
Mhm.
working with a child
Right.
or a practicum or internship related to working with a child is not required.
Which is bonkers.
So, in some people, between a student that had that and a student that didn't, that is a big learning gap.
Yep.
So that makes sense that you would ask, like, hey, what classes or how many classes have you taken on working with children? If they say
Right.
human development,
you're like,
oh, well, we have some work
Right.
to do. We
Right.
have some learning to do.
So I do think it can be a great motivator overall.
Do you think it motivates our supervisees?
I think sometimes, and I think in certain situations, if they come to us and they're frustrated with a situation at work, and we kind of validate that and go, yeah, it's okay. You should be upset by that. Like, you're allowed to be upset by that, or that doesn't sound right. I agree with you. Then it can be a motivator to help them change something or to speak up when maybe they feel like they shouldn't. But to be able to say, hey, I don't agree with that.
Right. So it might motivate them to advocate for themselves
Right.
or for their client in some way.
Yeah. Actually, as I'm saying that, can think of a situation where a supervisee did not agree with a psychiatrist. And
which can be scary.
Right. Because they've got the big fancy letters and they're usually take ownership over a floor or over your group or whatever. And I mean, I agreed with my supervisee. That psychiatrist didn't really take all the things into account. And so it was like we had a conversation and I went, yeah, that would make me really frustrated. Yep. And it kind of changed the course of how she handled her interactions with that psychiatrist, because she also felt like the psychiatrist was just dismissing her. Like, you lowly intern, go,
Yeah. What do you know? You're just starting.
Right. Right.
So the one value could be it motivates people. It encourages people to advocate for themselves or other people.
Right.
Do you think does it have the possibility of making a supervision relationship better?
Sure. I think it can provide clarity, right? Once you've kind of gone through something like that, then you have clarity and maybe some ground rules have been reset.
I don't feel quite so optimistic, I think. I do think...
Get angry.
Well, I think if there was conflict between you and a supervisee and you worked through it, then that doesn't stand in your way anymore.
Right.
It's not an obstacle. But at least this morning, I can't think of a time where I worked through a conflict and I thought, wow, we are so much better for that. I don't know that.
Thing to think about.
Yeah. Maybe I'll find an example for myself this week and feel encouraged. Yeah. But I do think for sure, I mean, if there's, what sits between you is the discussion of, do these count as direct hours or not?
Right.
And it just continues and continues. I think it gets in the way of productive supervision.
Absolutely get in the way.
So then I think it's absolutely worth it to discuss that and work through it so that it's not
this looming obstacle over you. Yeah.
What are other ways that there's some value in anger's aftermath?
I mean, this is going to sound funny, but like practice, right? Like, I'm a person that is conflict avoidant by nature. I do not like conflict. I've had to learn to be comfortable with it and learn that it benefits me. But I think if you get to practice in a situation like supervision, where it's like, sometimes, we don't make the rules. We just have to interpret them to benefit, the situation. And I think going and having practice with that frustration can bring good value, because if you've done it and you've been like, okay, I had to negotiate this hard situation and I didn't like it and there were feelings involved, and then you get through it on the other side, you're like, okay, the next time it comes up,
it's easier. I was thinking maybe this is similar or the same, that you were describing that you had an associate that was frustrated, upset, and that you validated that. I think, and that in doing that, then you have more confidence or feel like you can address another conflict in the future. Something that I'll do with a supervisee is I end up kind of modeling appropriate frustration or an appropriate reaction for them. So they say, this week was really tough. This doctor talked to me this way and made this decision and didn't ask me, didn't include me in the decision. And my reaction is, you know what you're talking about. You went to school. This, you know all about this. And that helps them to feel like, yeah, I did go to school for this.
Right.
I spent a lot of time with this person and I do know what I'm talking about. That it helps them to feel validated. It helps them to know how to address it in the future. And maybe from our position as the supervisor, we help to show them and model for them a way of addressing that in the future.
Absolutely.
Well, so anger's not all bad. We're not always Daffy Duck and whoever the other. What do we say? Tasmanian devil.
Without the destruction.
Yeah. But it can be really helpful and move us forward in supervision. Heather and I would love to hear about when you have faced anger in supervision. And thanks today for listening to Supervision with a Vision.